In this brief tutorial, we're going to walk you through the steps of adding a door to a RedCloud system. So I'm going to go ahead and start by logging into the appliance. First step is to go to the physical access section. This defaults you right to the door listings. I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus sign to add a door to the system. Let me give my door a name. I'm going to call it Demo Reader 1. An alternate name. As luck would have it, I have an HID prox and pin reader, so I'm just going to label that as to the type of reader it is, and its location is the demo room. So if I had multiple panels out there, I only have one configured in my system right now, but if I had multiple, I would have to choose what panel this reader is going to be connected to. In my case, I only have one. It's an EP1501, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that panel. It defaults to my current appliance that I'm connected to, as well as the security vendor for the access control panels that I have out in the field, which is Mercury Security. My access type is single. This is a single reader, single door opening. However, if I was reading like say card in, card out type scenario, I might change this to either paired master and slave. This just means that they're sharing the same strike, same recs, and same door contacts. So you would make one the master, one the slave, one for reading in, one for reading out. Since mine's a single door opening, I'm going to leave it at single. It is a card and pin reader, so I'm going to put mine in card or pin mode. And in its offline mode, I'm going to have it disabled. But you do have a choice for offline modes. Really what they boil down to are disable, facility code mode only, locked no access, and unlocked. Those are the only 4 modes you can put it into in an offline mode. I'm going to leave mine disabled. Custom mode, this is where I can set the reader up. Say, for example, since this is a card and pin reader, I might want to set this up and say, okay, listen, during normal business hours, it's going to be card or pin. And during off hours, it's going to be card and pin. Or vice versa. I could set this up and say, look, it's going to be card and pin all the time, 24/7, with the exception of I want it to be card or pin mode Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I just pick my schedule, marry it up with a schedule, and then it follows that in the custom mode. Since I don't have any other time zones or time schedules configured, I'm just going to leave it the way it is, card or pin 24/7. Other things I can do with the scheduler, I can go ahead and say, look, this door is an active door during, the normal times when people come in the morning, leave for lunch, go home at the end of the day, and I get a lot of held open alarms during that time. I can set up a schedule to say I want to mask it during those held open times so that I'm not always getting these alarm activity during that peak times. Looking at the door attributes, log grants right away just creates an extra log transaction that shows up in the reports that says, hey, a card was presented, I immediately log that grant right away. Deny on duress, that means that whenever a person uses their PIN number, if somebody's under duress, they would enter 1 digit higher and 1 extra digit that is 1 digit higher than their current PIN number. So for example, if my PIN number is 1234, I would enter under duress 12345. So it's 1 digit over whatever your last digit is. In my case, my PIN number is 2617, so it would be 26178 would cause a duress alarm. Don't pulse store strike on Rex, pretty self-explanatory. We're not going to energize the strike on Rex. Require 2-card control. This means that if I check mark that box, anytime a badge gets presented to this particular reader, it's going to require another badge to be presented within 3 seconds in order for the door strike to fire and allow entry, i.e. we need 2-card control to get through the door. Door force filter, this just adds a 3-second door force filter to it. If I get a door forced alarm within 3 seconds of a valid door grant, I'm going to assume that that's a false alarm and just ignore it, and it doesn't report. So that's what my door force filter does for me. Log all access as used just means that every time I log, if this is a door, let's say, that doesn't have a door contact on, it's an internal door to an office area, I present my badge to it, I open the door. If I don't have a door contact or a switch monitoring the door position, I'm going to get an extra transaction every time that says door not used. In order to ignore that, I'm just going to check mark this box that says log all access as used. In my case, it's an internal door. I don't have a door contact on it, but So let's go ahead and do that. Detailed events just means it's going to, if I did have a door on it, a door switch on it, I can see in the opening screen for the status, I will see the actual position of the door switch. Enable cipher mode just allows us to create a much longer code that gets entered in for each badge, i.e. it puts in sort of the facility code and the badge ID number and some other numbers in along with it when we're using pin codes. Use shunt relay. That allows me to take the next available relay in line. So if my first one fires a strike, the next relay in line can be wired so that if I had an intrusion detection door contact on my door and I want to shunt that because I have my intrusion panel on perimeter arm so that it doesn't send an alarm back to the alarm monitoring company, I would wire that secondary door contact for the intrusion detection panel in line with the next available relay after the strike and check mark this box to use shunt relay. This then shunts the alarm so that it doesn't report the alarm back to the intrusion panel on a valid access grant. However, if the door gets held open or forced open, it will transmit the alarm back to the intrusion detection panel. And then the next one just cuts down on log transactions. Do not log my REX transactions. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Next screen it's going to bring us to is our operations screen. This is where we can program our anti-passback modes if we had any. Any anti-passback delays, any areas we're entering or leaving. So if you're doing anti-passback or area loading, unloading, you would do that there. Pin timeout and attempts. This is where we get to set those up. In my case, I don't want to set up any pin timeout or attempts, so I'm just going to leave that the way it is. Strike mode. What do I want to do? When I get a valid access grant, do I want to cut short the strike, saving wear and tear and energy on the solenoid when the door contact gets open? Absolutely. So I'm going to leave it at cut short when open. If this was a mag lock, I want it to re-energize the mag lock when the door closes. So go ahead and leave that at that. Door held open pre-alarm, pretty self-explanatory. This is if I had a pre-alarm I wanted to sound. The access time, once I open the door, how long do I want that strike to fire for? And after, how long do I want my actual strike to fire for? In my case, I'm only going to fire the strike for 3 seconds. My door held open alarm, for demo purposes, I'm going to make that 15 seconds. And for ADA access, how long do I need to fire the strike for somebody that might be disabled? Or and also, how much time do I want to give them for an extended held open time? Additionally, down at the bottom, we've done some work for you guys so that you don't have to do it yourself. What if I wanted to have, say, the local sounder at the door go off when a door gets forced, or maybe when a door gets held, or when that pre-alarm goes off? I've got a door held open. I've got a local sounder at the door. 24 hours a day, I want that to fire output 2. I'm going to go ahead and save that. If I save it, every time I get a door held open now, it's going to automatically fire the sounder that's wired into output 2 on my panel. That's all I want to do for now, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. Next comes the step of deciding what panel hardware we're going to assign to what. In my case, I'm going to assign the first reader in line on my panel, so I'm choosing that reader. My door position switch is going to be output 1. My REX is going to be, input 1. My REX is going to be input 2, and my strike is going to be output 1. I'm going to go ahead and save that. It's going to move me over to the interlocks portion. I'm going to step back for a second, though, and go back to that hardware section. And one of the things I want to show you is these orange pencils that showed up. Now, since this is a card and pin reader, I'm going to go into the card and pin reader, and my reader happens to be an Indala formatted reader. So I'm going to check mark the Indala format for the pin code. If you're using a standard Hughes ID 4-bit format, you're going to choose Hughes ID 4-bit format. Is this a Wiegand type reader? So I'm just going to go ahead and choose the Indala, save that, and then I'm going to decide, what's my current end-of-line resistance? In my case, it's normally open, no end-of-line. So I just want to make sure that I have that all configured correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Brings me back, and I can do the same for my other stuff. I can make some changes and edit some changes to the strike output, etc. I'm going to skip past cameras for now. If we had a camera solution configured for this particular appliance, I could go to the cameras page and then pick the camera type that I want to use. If it's exact and I had an exact system hooked up, all my exact cameras would show up. And here I could say these 2 cameras or these 4 cameras are associated with this door. Therefore, any alarms I get with relation to this door will be linked to those cameras that I choose in this list. Interlocks is just where we do localized input-output actions. This particular setup procedure doesn't go into interlocks. We'll have a tutorial later for how to do local IOs, global IOs, macros, and triggers. Okay, so next is the Events tab. This is where we can customize the events for this particular door. If I wanted to create a local event like I've done here, I've got a force door. I can go ahead and delete that. But this allows me to give them a specified name. If there's a particular door, maybe this is the door to the nuclear lab or whatever, and I want to change the name from force door to force door for nuclear lab or NRE lab or whatever I want to call it, and then have that email a specific individual for this local event. This is where I can make those edits and those changes and create a localized event for that particular door. Next is the Access tab. If once this gets assigned access to an individual and identities, roles, and etc., that would show up here, show us what access groups have this door assigned to it, roles, and what identities. So that's going to be part of a later tutorial. So we'll show you how to do setup and setup roles and access groups later. And finally, the Transactions tab is where we go and take a look at any and all transactions that have occurred at a particular door. That's it. We're all done setting up our door. We can go back to the doors section and we can see that it is set up here. Shows up in our list. It's green across the board. Here's my legend down here for comms, lock, power, tamper, battery, forced and held. And I can see that that's green all across the board. So that's it. That's how easy it is to set up a door in a RedCloud system.